still under oath. Your attorney will question you. We're gonna go till 12:15, and then if we have time in the afternoon, if we have to go. You know, that's very stupid, we're not fine, you guys will find a way to go.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's gonna go longer, and I just wanna make sure that you don't feel rushed.
Robert, how old's your son?
He's 5.
Okay. So in what year was he born?
He was born in '09.
Okay. In 2010 was the first order issued regarding custody and visitation.
Correct.
Okay. And what was that order?
It was 3 days and 3 days. She'd have him and I'd have him.
Okay. So it was a straight split week.
Correct.
Did you follow that?
Yes, I did.
Did Nicole follow that?
There was no disagreement. I mean, actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't mind having the baby.
Objection non-responsive to questions asked, if Nicole followed, is a yes or no answer.
Did Nicole follow the 3 and 3?
No.
You say no. How did she not follow it?
Well, if she was supposed to have him for 3 days, she didn't have him for 3 days. I'd have him for 5 or 6 days, sometimes weeks at a time.
So despite what the order of 2010 said, what was the actual visitation that the two of you followed?
What we agreed on?
No. What you actually did.
Objection to the form of the question.
Do you understand what he's asking?
No, I don't.
Forget about what was on the paper, what actually happened between you and the mother, day to day, week to week. That's your question?
Yes.
I would just have the baby when I could. When she really she wasn't there for him. And it didn't bother me because he was with me.
Okay. So was it more like you had him 4 days and she had him 3?
Or I had him 6 and she had him 1.
Okay. Which was the norm? Okay. And when I say the norm, out of 52 weeks in a year, the majority of them, how many days out of 7 did you have Robert, and how many did Nicole have Robert?
Objection foundation, leading form of the question.
Do you understand the question?
If he's asking me if I had him most of the time, yes.
He's asking you over a year period. What was the average norm?
I would say I had him 80% of the time.
How many days out of 7 is that?
Like 6 out of 7, I guess.
Okay. Did there come a time where Nicole left Nevada?
Yes.
When?
Oh, she used to run back and forth. I would watch all 3 of them, and she'd go down to California and come back. She fell asleep one time when she went to California and went in the ditch.
I understand all of that, and I know you want to tell your story.
Okay.
But you've got to answer the questions that are asked.
Okay.
Okay. Did there come a time where Nicole moved from Nevada back to California?
Yes.
When was that?
It was before I went to jail.
Can you be more specific?
Um,
A month, a year at least?
A year ago, yes.
A year ago?
I would say, yeah. She moved back to California. Well, I'm trying to stick to the question. She let her son go with Sammy, or the baby's dad, a year before she moved down there.
I'm more interested in when Nicole left Nevada. Not for a weekend, but permanently moved to California.
Oh, okay. I don't know exactly how long ago it was. But it was when she got kicked out of her apartment. And she moved to California. Well, actually, she moved to her Paul's house. I would say a year ago, and she stayed gone for 9 months.
Did she move before she filed the complaint or the petition to change custody?
Yes,
Did she move before you were arrested for possession of stolen property?
I don't think so.
Did she move permanently before you had your probation violation?
Yes,
So if your probation violation was 18 months ago, that means she moved at least 18 months ago.
well, yeah, I guess we've been fighting this for a year. I mean, I just don't know the exact.
Okay. When she
Let
left,
me just clarify, when did you go to jail last year? Because you said it happened before. When, do you remember what month you went to jail last year?
No, I don't.
it's in the pleadings.
Was it before June of last year?
I think it was about June.
Do you know when you were released from CCDC?
I did 72 days. I don't know exactly. August, I believe it was August.
So that would have meant that you were arrested on the probation violation approximately June of 2013.
Correct.
And it was while you were in CCDC that this current action began, correct?
Correct.
Prior to this action, how long had Nicole been in California?
She was like gone 9 months, I guess it was.
Okay. During that 9 months, did she call Robert?
Not once.
Did she come and visit Robert?
Not once.
Did she tell you where she was?
No, I didn't know where she was. I just knew where my son was.
Did there come a time Nicole came back?
Not that I recall.
You previously testified a few minutes ago that she came and brought some meth with her.
Yes.
Okay. She had been in California, correct?
Correct.
Then she came here?
Yes.
All right. That's the incident I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to that day, had you been smoking meth?
No.
Had you been using drugs?
No.
Had you been employed?
I've always been employed since my son's been born.
Okay. Did you have occasion on that day to get high?
When?
The day that Nicole came back?
I mean, she brought it. No.
Robert, did you get high?
When she came, yes.
I missed a month or date, or is there a foundation?
Somewhere around June of 2013. Okay. Was this reported to your probation officer?
That I got high?
Yes.
Well, I got arrested going, when I was at work. And then, yeah, the police were called saying that I got high. And that's why I got
Do you know who called?
Objection calls for speculation.
No, it's just if he knows. If he doesn't
I
know.
asked. Do you know who called?
Do I know for sure? They said my brother. Okay, the police told me my brother called.
Judge, move to strike. It's hearsay.
Well, if you want it stricken, we'll strike it unless you, it is hearsay.
I'll withdraw the question. You can strike it. Was CPS subsequently called?
Not when I was out of jail. I mean, CPS was called, I guess, because Nicole called them.
When was CPS called?
Sustaining us, he knows.
What was the question?
When was CPS called?
I don't know exactly.
You have the witness book?
Is this your book or his book?
I thought there was one on the witness stand. Direct your attention, I know you're having a hard time reading, to Defendant's Exhibit, I believe it is F. I know you're struggling to read, let me loan you my glasses. Can you look at the date on that and simply tell me when CPS became involved?
Judge, if he's using my
7/4/13.
Judge, I just have an objection. If he's using my document to refresh his recollection, I move for the introduction of the entire document.
I have no objection to that document being admitted.
So Exhibit F, Defendant's Exhibit F will be omitted.
Okay.
So can you ask the question, because with the objection, I don't think we heard the answer.
Looking at that page, can you tell me when CPS became involved with your child?
7/4/13.
So that would be July 4th, 2013.
Correct.
Where were you at this time?
I was in jail.
Where was your son?
With my mom
Okay. To your knowledge, where was Nicole?
in California.
Much has been made of your 2010 custody order. What did that 2010 custody order say about the state of residence for Robert?
That he was living with me at my mom's, and it was she'd have him 3 days, I'd have him 3 days
What about where he was to reside?
with my mom. I mean, at my house,
Which state?
Nevada.
All right. Much has also been made. I need my glasses back. Much has also been made regarding CPS involvement at your house. So let's talk about who lives at your house. Okay. Who lives there today?
Me, my son, Rebecca, and her son.
Okay. Anyone else? Are you sure?
Positive.
Your mother lives there also, doesn't she?
That's what I said. Yes.
I didn't hear her. I only heard 4. All right. Rebecca has a child? Okay. I want to clarify this because a lot was made about it, okay? Did CPS become involved with Rebecca and her son?
Yes.
Was that child removed from your home?
He was never removed from the house.
Okay. Where did Rebecca live at the time the child's name's Caleb, correct?
Correct.
That Caleb was born?
I think my mom's. I'm not for sure.
So she may have resided with you?
Yes.
Okay. She went to the hospital to give birth to the child?
Correct.
Okay. To your knowledge, did the child test positive at the hospital for drugs?
Yes.
Did that child ever come home?
No.
So when you say he was never removed from your home, he was never in your home to be removed, correct? All right. Did Crystal live in your home following the birth of the child?
No.
Did she subsequently go to jail?
I don't know Crystal's history. I mean, I know she don't live at my mom's. That's for sure.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was asking about Crystal, my fault. Rebecca, did Rebecca ultimately go to jail?
Yes, she went to jail.
Okay. Did she complete her time?
Yes.
Did she complete her drug program?
Yes.
Okay. Has she been reunited with Caleb?
Yes, she's got full custody right now.
And CPS is no longer involved in that case?
Objection calls for speculation.
No, it's a fact.
Sustained.
Okay. Robert, previously you were asked a lot of questions regarding your criminal past, okay? Have you been cited numerous times for driving without a license?
Yes.
Can you get a driver's license?
I could, but I have a fine in California.
Okay.
You know, that's,
So if the court directed you today to get a valid driver's license, could you do that?
I could, yes.
And those driving without a license tickets that were talked about in depth,
Right.
they were from 1990
Yeah.
and 1991. In 2002, were you involved in an auto accident?
Yes, I was. I think it was 2002 when she died.
It was 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. Was your blood alcohol tested?
Of course.
Was there a blood draw taken?
Of course.
Were you charged with driving under the influence?
No, I wasn't.
This is hearsay.
It is. You introduced it
I never introduced that.
and questioned him on the DUI and on the.
Ask him about that stuff.
You asked me if I was under the influence.
Wait, everybody wants to talk.
Okay.
There's an objection, the objection's overruled.
Thank you. Okay. To be clear, Robert, you were not cited with driving under the influence in that accident.
Most definitely not.
Did you go to trial on the voluntary manslaughter charge?
I took a plea before trial.
So you did not go to trial?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you enter into plea negotiations?
What do you mean?
Did you or your attorney sit down with the district attorney and try to hammer out a deal?
I imagine, yes.
But ultimately, you stood up and pled guilty, didn't you?
Right. That's what I couldn't take it no more. I mean, I was still, I didn't even.
Did it affect your memory?
Yes, it did.
So when you repeatedly state that you can't remember or you don't know, is that why?
I believe so. I mean,
Did you serve your time?
yes, I did.
Were you released on parole?
Yes, I did.
Did you complete your parole honorably and be discharged?
Yes, I did. There were no violations.
Was all of that prior to the birth of your son?
Oh, before?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about the house where you live now. Okay, we've already talked about who's there. Can you describe the house, size, number of bedrooms?
It's 3 bedrooms. My mom's been there for over 30 years. There's backyard. It's a beautiful house.
Does he have his own bedroom?
Yes, he does.
Doesn't share a room with you?
He sleeps with me, but he has his own room.
He has his own room.
Right.
Okay. And a place to play?
Yes.
And he's had access to that home and lived in that home his entire life.
Yes.
Never been a change of address as far as your
Not
your
even phone
residence
number.
has been concerned. What about your employment? Where do you work currently?
I work at Elliott Sewer and Drain.
Okay. How long have you been there?
5 years before he was born.
Any break in employment?
No, not once.
Not the ones when you went to jail?
Oh, I went to jail, but
You're still working?
I still have my job.
Okay. But you were not working?
No, I wasn't. I was in jail.
And did your employer work with you while you were in jail?
Yes.
They kept your job for you?
Yes. They even wrote a letter to the, to the court, saying, into my, my probation, I mean, they love me, since I've been out of jail, the change and everything, they're pleased with me.
Okay. All right. Do you recall ever calling to talk to Robert while he was with Nicole? Do you make regular phone call? I need strike
Yes.
that. Let me rephrase it. Robert, do you make regular phone calls to talk to Robert when he is with his mother?
Yes.
Has there ever been occasion where those phone calls were not answered?
Judge, you know, I haven't objected to it. All the stuff being foundational coming in, it's all been leading all the way through. If you could just rephrase his questions so they're not all leading questions.
I agree, I mean, so the objection sustained, if you could
I'll rephrase.
rephrase it so you don't suggest the answers.
Can you describe any problems you've had in communicating with Robert while he is in the care of Nicole?
Yes.
I'm asking him to describe it. That's not leading at all.
Well, you said there was a problem, we don't even know if there was a problem, so ask him if there was a problem first, and then maybe we can.
Has there been any problem communicating with Robert when he is in the care of Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe those?
She never answers the phone on Tuesday. And she changed, the judge said at 7 o'clock, then that wasn't good enough. She changed it to 4 o'clock, and now like last week she changed it to 6 o'clock, you know. And on Tuesday she never answers the phone. Ever. I don't get to talk to him on Tuesday. I only get to talk to him on Thursday.
Have you asked where she's residing?
Yeah, she told the court that she was in Redondo with her mom. But that's not where she is. I don't know where she is, to tell you the truth. For sure.
Objection to strike the question was, have you asked, and you gave the diatribe, Your Honor.
Okay, sustained,
And I have the same objection as to the form of the questions, all being leading questions.
well, that part's overruled right now, there's no question pending. Sir, when he asks you a question, you just answer the question, he's objecting that you answer the question, then you go on and tell
Okay.
2 or 3 other
Okay.
tabs in there, and, you know, so stop doing that, just answer the question.
How frequently does this occur that you can't reach your son?
Every week.
Has it occurred on holidays?
Yes.
The objection, I guess, is that it's leading. I don't know how you could ask that question otherwise, so.
Have there been any holidays that you specifically could not reach your son? That's not leading. There's been a year of holidays at this point. I'd like to lead him to the one because I've got the notes, but
Yes.
which holidays?
Christmas.
Can you tell us what happened?
That's the. I was at her house. I went to go get my mom's car, and then she left to California with my son.
Any other holidays that you haven't been able to reach your son?
Doesn't make any sense.
No, not really. Not that I recall.
Okay. Do you know how many times you've tried to call and not had your phone calls accepted?
Judge, as objection as to form of the question, presenting facts which aren't evidence, no foundation, leading.
I've laid a lot of foundation. There's nothing leading. I'm asking him if he knows how many times.
Objection overruled, he's already said several times, but if you can answer the question.
Well, I'm supposed to call him twice a week. I mean, was what the judge awarded. That there should be no problems. Why you shouldn't call on these at this time. Make sure I don't care. You can't break your phone and everything else. I mean, every week I can only get a hold of him once a week because Tuesdays, I don't know what she's doing. She's just not answering the phone on Tuesdays. I don't know what it is.
Robert, have you arranged, let's move to Robert Jr. at this point. You arranged for education for him.
Yeah.
Can you describe what you have done?
He's doing, right now, we're just doing home studies.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because the judge said not to enroll him in school. I mean, he doesn't. It's just he can be rolled in Nevada, in California at the same time.
So what is it you are doing?
He's doing K-12.
If you were granted primary physical custody, what would you do regarding his education?
Well, he'd be going to kindergarten. You know, he'd be going to school right down the street from our house.
Do you know the name of the school?
No, not. I don't recall the name of the school. But right now he's just not. You know, I think the home study right now is better for him. You know, until he gets.
And you work full-time, so how would you provide for supervision when you're at work?
My mother.
Can you explain?
My mother, she's retired, and she take care of him. I only, you know, I mean, I'm home by 2:00.
Your mother watches Caleb as well?
Rebecca's there. I mean, she's just started working, so Rebecca's also there. So they both watching.
So there's no lack of supervision for Robert?
No, none.
Sorry, I have to go back just a little bit. I just want to, this was brought up by counsel. Were you arrested regarding a moped?
Yes.
What occurred with those charges?
The DA never picked them up.
So formal charges were never filed?
No.
Okay. I have nothing else.
So when you were asked the question as to the bedroom for your son, it wasn't a correct statement that he has his own room. That wasn't a correct statement, was it?
He has his own room. Yes, he does.
Who else sleeps in his own room?
He has his own room. Nobody sleeps in his own room.
And nobody else sleeps in his room?
No.
5 people live in the house? What
It's
about people?
Rebecca and Caleb have their own room. Okay. Robert has his own room. And I got mine, and my mom sleeps on the couch. She doesn't want her room. So I sleep in that room. And even there's a room that stays open all the time because he sleeps with me. So, but he has his own room with his own bed and his toys.
I'm trying to understand it. It's a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom
It's a
house?
3-bedroom house.
So describe, how do you have 3 bedrooms? How many rooms are in this house? Describe the house.
It's 2 bedrooms, and the garage is made into a room. It's got its own doorway. It's
Okay,
been
so who's sleeping in the garage?
well. Actually, it would be mine.
All right, so you're sleeping in the garage.
Right.
All right, then who's sleeping in the other 2 rooms?
Rebecca and Robert.
And your mom doesn't sleep in a room?
She don't want it. Ever since my dad passed away, she won't sleep in the room.
Rebecca cares for your son during the day, and she was the one that was released from jail.
Leading objection.
She's working, so right now my mom cares.
Homeschool. Can you do me a favor? Can you just read this line right over here? What does that say right there?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Want to use my glasses here?
No, I don't.
You don't want to use my glasses?
No.
Can you read? You can't read that line?
No, I can't.
Why can't you read that line?
Because I can't see it for one.
Can you read and write?
Huh?
Can you read and write?
I get by.
Do you have a problem reading and writing?
I don't read as good as other people.
So despite that fact, you still want to homeschool your son?
Rebecca's homeschooling him. Rebecca does it.
going back to 2010, can you tell me what day, any day in the year 2010, that Nicole didn't exercise her custodial time with her son?
What do you mean?
Tell me one day in 2010 that Nicole did not exercise her custodial time with your son.
Custodial time, what are you saying? I don't understand the question.
Well, pursuant, you had a decree which you entered into in 2010. Do you recall that?
No,
The question is, when it was her time to see the child in 2010, I think, is 2010?
Yes.
When did she not see her child when it was her time in 2010?
a lot of times. I mean, many times. I mean, like I said, I mean, we had the baby like more than
What day, what month, what time? Any
every
time.
day, every month. She doesn't see him. I mean, she doesn't see. She only sees him like, well, like I said, she only had him like one day out of the week. I mean,
What day of the week was she supposed to have him and she didn't have him?
let's see, she had him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know, one of the days.
Can you tell me any specific day that she missed?
Monday. You want me to say Monday? Monday.
Okay, Monday, and what month?
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November, all of them.
She missed every Monday of every month.
If you want an answer, I can't recall. I mean, I just know she wasn't
When
there.
you're sitting here today, can you tell me any specific day that you recall? Any date?
Your Honor,
I just
objection.
did.
It's argumentative at this point. He's answered it. He's not even rephrasing it. Same question he has said. He doesn't know.
Well, sir, he wants to know any specific date, but your answer is almost every week. But you cannot be any more specific than that.
I mean,
Your answer.
it's 7 out of the 6. I mean, I'd have him like 6 days out of 7. I mean,
In the same way-
even the other 2. The other 2 I would watch.
So you raised her other 2 children.
I did.
So, when did you stop raising her children?
When she allowed Sammy to come back into her life after, okay, I don't want to keep going. When she let Sammy back in,
When was that?
I would say 6 months after she got full custody of her kids.
When did you get full custody of her kids?
I don't recall. When she moved down here, we went to court for her.
So she got full custody of her kids. And her kids, what are their names?
Jules and Noble.
So then after she moved out here, when did she stop having full custody of her kids? That's what I'm trying, I don't.
No, she moved out here, then she got full custody of her kids.
And she had full custody of her children, then when did she not exercise her full custody of the children?
I didn't see. I mean, she had full custody. I mean, I don't understand the question. To tell you the truth.
Well, your testimony is that you solely raised her children, is that what you're saying?
I'd watch her children. I didn't raise them. I mean, I'd watch them for her.
So at this period of time when you're watching her children, raising her, watching her children, and she's never spending any time with her kids?
I didn't say that.
Well, any time with Robert, with your son? She's
With-
spending one day, she's missing all this time, and 6 out of 7 days are with you. From 2010, 2011, 2012, and 13. Is that what your testimony is here today?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
excuse me, sir. So you're saying for the last 4 years, she spent one day with her son. So for the,
that's not correct. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's
Your
say
Honor,
if it's one
objection.
day
These are
a
all
month,
very leading.
If it's one day a month, that means if there's 52 months in a year, she's been with her kids 52 days
Not her kids, my kid.
with your son.
Right.
So she's only spent 52 days a year with her son for the last 3 years.
guess if you do the
Then
math.
Right, and then you're saying that during that period of time, is that you babysat her kids during that period of time? when
Not
she
her
was
kids,
gone?
all of her kids.
And is this the same period of time when your brother was in the house and he's been arrested and now he's in prison?
My brother wasn't in the house. I told you
Is
that.
this the same period of time in which, who's the lady who's living in your house right now?
Rebecca?
Rebecca. That she was arrested because she was doing meth when she
No,
was
she
pregnant?
wasn't arrested.
Excuse
She wasn't
me, sir.
arrested. She wasn't arrested for that.
Oh, she wasn't, so she
No.
didn't go to jail for that.
No, she didn't.
And so she was living in your house at that period of time.
I don't know. I mean, you're mixing me up. I mean, you're doing a good job. I will tell you that. But you're throwing stuff in there that's I feel is irrelevant to the fact of the well-being of my baby.
Well, I'm just trying to understand your household, sir.
My household is fine.
And I'm trying to understand what's been going on in your household for the last 3 years. You've been telling me for the last 3 years is that she has only been around her son 1 day a week for the last 3 years. Is that true or false?
That's
All right, so that's number one. You're saying she's been 1 day a week with her son for the last 3 years.
Oh,
I
no,
understand.
not the last three, because the last year, she's been watching the baby 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and 2 weeks.
Okay, so before that, but it was only 1 day a week. Is that
Basically.
true?
Yeah, that's
Then
true.
during
There's
that
been
period of
months
time-
that she wouldn't even seen.
Then during that period of time, you were taking care of her 2 other kids.
No, that was before that.
So when was that?
That's when she lived in the apartments, when she was running back and forth to California, picking up her stuff, whatever.
So she ran back and forth to California picking up her stuff. So that for that time she ran back and forth to California.
I'd watch the
How
kids.
many times?
Many times. I don't
Once,
know.
twice, 3 times?
She'd been back and forth a few times. I don't know. She
How many-
had an accident.
Once, twice, how many times? 10? Less than 10?
I don't know.
More than 10 or less than 10?
I don't know. I mean, you're starting to upset me because you're trying to throw stuff in. I mean, I just, the fact is what it is.
The fact is what it is
Yeah,
that you
is
didn't-
that
you
she
didn't take-
is not stable.
The fact is that you did not take care of her kids.
I did take care of her kids.
When she went back and forth to California?
Yes, I did.
How many times and when?
I don't know how many times. Many
For how long?
times.
For how long? How many days?
A couple. And
So
it's,
if you're watching, you would agree with me, is that watching kids for a couple days doesn't mean you're watching the kids all the time.
a couple days alone without her.
Well, let me say this to you. Right now, you've got every 2 weeks on, and so she's been watching your son for the last 2 weeks, prior to this last 2 weeks. Is that true?
Of course.
All right, now, she can't come to court and say she's been watching your son for the last 2 weeks. That means that she's been watching the kid all the time. Just because she hasn't.
I didn't say
Excuse
that.
me, sir,
I didn't
somebody
say
gets it.
that. You're putting words in my
No, I'm
mouth.
not.
Yes, you are, because I told you, for the last year, everything's been going just like the judge ordered, 2 weeks and 2 weeks, okay?
I'm asking a very simple question. Is that she's had your son 2 weeks ago, for 2 weeks.
Right.
So she can't come to court and say, I've had our son all the time because I have for 2 weeks. I'm asking the same question.
I'm not saying that.
And I'm asking the same question about her children. Because they were with you for 2 days when she went down to California. You can't
So
come
you're
and say.
talking about a year, you're talking about a couple years ago.
Would you
I mean,
agree-
before my kid was born, not born, but before, when she lived in the apartment. I mean, you're confusing me. It's not, oh man, all I gotta say is you're good, okay?
Sir,
You're
would
good.
You would agree with me that she did not leave the children in your care custody?
I'll agree with you to say she's unstable, yes.
But you would agree with me that the kids were not left in your care custody control?
Her kids were left with me when she went.
Objection to form, because I'm not even sure what he means.
Can you move on, Counselor? Let me ask a question. Why was Rebecca arrested? I mean, I thought she was arrested because of drugs. Now you said,
No, she was arrested for some old cases she had.
am I right to, I think the story is that Rebecca had a child.
Yes.
And the child was born at a hospital,
Yes,
and the child was taken away from her at the hospital,
yes,
because prior, the child was born with drugs.
yes.
Okay. And Rebecca was never charged for that?
No, she wasn't charged
Okay,
for
so
that.
it,
I'm
she
with-
was charged with something else?
Right,
Okay, and it had nothing to do with the child being born with drugs in her system?
no.
Okay.
And Rebecca was living at your house at the time when the baby was born.
Yes, I believe she was.
And after she got out, she moved back into the house with you.
Correct. With her grandmother.
What's the name of your son's doctors?
I don't know. I really don't.
What's your son studying right now with homeschool?
It's K-12. I mean, he's doing it step by step. He's on learning his ABCs, the 1, 2, 3. I mean, he's behind right now. He's behind.
What, so, does
You don't-
does he know his ABCs?
He knows his ABCs. He can't recognize which one's A, and right now.
Which letter can't he recognize?
Well, he's learned a lot, but there's still a few that he don't know. And like I said,
Which letters does-
Rebecca is home studying. I'm really not.
Which letters doesn't your son know?
I don't know for sure.
What numbers, how far can your son count?
He can count real good. I mean, he gets to 20 to 30, and he fumbles.
Can you spell his name?
Who? Robert?
Yes.
Me?
Your son.
Yeah, he can spell his name.
Can you write his name?
Yeah, he can write his name.
What about his last name?
No,
How old is he now?
5.
He just turned 5, right?
Right.
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay. So you can step down. If we do have a recess, do not discuss your testimony with anyone else. Do you have another witness ready?
Yes, my comment.
And that's gonna take a while, right?
I believe so.
More than 5 minutes?
Maybe 7.
So let's, 12 o'clock, let's break for lunch. We'll come back at 1. We'll start at, we'll start at 1:10. There's another trial this afternoon, but when they come in, I think there's only one side's gonna show up. My understanding, they're gonna ask for continuance. And so we'll take a break at that time so I can see what they wanna do with that case, and then we'll resume with this case if that other case does not go, which I don't think it will go today. So we'll come back at 1:10, we'll go to 1:10 to 1:30, or whenever the other side shows up.
Sir, if I leave our stuff here?
If you could, yeah, you can put it to the side. I don't know who's gonna show up on what side. The one side's gonna show up this afternoon.